Well, hey there, Superior Shave fans and other humans. How you doing today? It's 8th of May, 2025. I'm sorry to be using this cheesy podcast format. I went to all the trouble to put my wireless lavalier microphone on the top of the old Sony A7, and maybe because I'm fat, I don't know when it happened, but at some point the little lavalier body pack had its mute button pushed, unfortunately. Better check that next time. In any event, I wanted to show, this is for the gentleman with a town in Ohio with a really novel name, and he's ordered this Thiers Issard Evide Sonate Extra with the basic. Alrighty, what are we going to do? We're going to hone in such a way that we make a concave bevel. Now, my hands there are talking about this step going a lot faster on this factory razor than it would if you bought an old razor, because an old razor might have a convex bevel. The factory bevel from Thiers Issard will definitely not be convex. We're trying to make it, no matter what it is, we're making it concave, because this stone in front of you, you can go search up on the Superior Shave, the Jared hone. It's just a piece of acrylic shaped to be 6.5 foot diameter down the length, and by honing on that, you will make a concave bevel instead of a flat bevel. So the first step is to take a Sharpie and put permanent ink all over the bevel, and then I'm going to hone on that little orange block that you see to the right in the image. That one is, I hand cut that one. That one's 4 inches long as opposed to 8 inches long. It's the same shape, and it's got 1250 grit, 15 micron diamond film on there that's blazing fast. So let me go Sharpie this thing, and then we will get to honing on that as the first step. That's just plain old sewing machine oil. And you would stay on this first step with this 6.5 foot diameter hone until all of the scratches on your bevel are taken over with this thing. And you can just put ink on the bevel and stay on there until the ink is gone. You can do it a couple of times if you really want to be sure, but if you have a light touch, the first time the ink is gone, it's all done. It is a really quick process on any razor that hasn't had tape on its spine or been honed the wrong way. It only takes, you can see right here, on this factory razor, it takes about 2 minutes. Now 15 micron is reasonably coarse, and we're early in the process of creating a concave edge. So because of that, I am doing these as opposed to edge leading. The only real reason for that is because it's a lot harder to cut this lapping film by accident with edge trailing as opposed to edge leading. With edge leading, if you have one spot that's not perfectly lubricated, you run a good risk of cutting that thing, and that is a $10 slice of lapping film, I believe, because that's 1/2 of a sheet. So that's about $11 worth of lapping film. I want to get my several dozen razors honed out of it to squeeze my abrasive costs. Tired of paying for abrasives for this stupid little business. You know how much I paid for abrasive last year? Over $500 US, if you could believe that. More than $1 a day on abrasives. Anyway, I'm looking over here to see if I got all the ink off, and at the heel and the toe is where you got to look, because that's where it takes the longest to get all the ink off. And now I'm gently moving in the edge leading direction, and we will switch to that Jared hone that's to the bottom right of the image right now, and that one's got the 1 micron film on it, and that is of course 3x8 with this glorious piece, nicely lubricated, and it doesn't take very long at all to do its work too, does it? I don't think there's any harm as you move up your grits. You can always start with edge trailing and then move to edge leading within 1 grit. And then when you get to the finest lapping film, you can just do stropping direction. Now, the Jared hone, as we like to call it here, is shaped 25 feet diameter going across that 3-inch axis, and 6.5 foot diameter going down the length, which is toward and away from the camera here. Because it's 25 feet going across, you can hone warped razors without having to do the so-called rolling X on the warped razors. That also means that you have to learn how to isolate where you are honing on the razor. I think of it like a little circuit. I can feel the razor touching the hone in an area. When it's a 25 foot diameter, I would say feels like about a centimeter of the razor is touching the stone at one time. And you just learn to move that centimeter of contact from the heel to the toe as you do your strokes. It's really not difficult at all, and you'll get the hang of it. You just don't hang out in the center. That's pretty much all you got to do, and all of it will get some time on the hone. But having tried cylindrical hones and elliptical hones, I can tell you that the difficulties of using the ellipse are outweighed by the advantages of its ability to really dial in your feedback like no cylinder can. So now I'm going to do some edge leading stuff, and then I am going to switch to that Arkansas stone that's at the back right of the image. That is a HB5. That's a 2x5 by 1 inch stone by Norton, and I put the same Jared curve on the edge of it. Here we can see. And now I'm starting with the heel, and then I will move up the razor. And this just, what a pity I messed up the audio this time. I'll get it next time. I'm liking the visuals here. I thought about my background and my lighting better. Look, we got the stones over on the right that are sort of out of focus. And this is that tilt and shift 24mm lens for the Sony system, if you're familiar with it, made by the Korean companies. I was a professional photographer at one time in my life, so I can go on and on about this, and I'll just tell you, for close-up work, because everything is made for an SLR first, I mean, it has a gigantic image circle, I'll give it that, but man, you are constantly tilting and shifting and then having to move the camera again because there's a lot of yaw built in with that system. Oh well. Anyway, here we are. Now we're going to put a little more oil on there, or moving around, and then we're going to do a little bit of the stropping direction. Oh, that's glorious. I wish you could hear that lovely sizzle. When this is all done, again, this was all 6.5 foot shape, only one shape here. Now we're going to switch to a piece of balsa wood that I've also shaped this way. You can go search Convex balsa wood on the superiorshave.com and you'll see the wood. And I have put Ken Schwartz's 0.1 CBN cubic boron nitride. What is it? The CBN abrasive, the one that's real expensive. You can get it at sharpeningsupplies.com. And there'll be plenty of lighting source in this case so that I can get that top not to be blown out like this. But you can see the little gray image of the sharpening solution there a little bit. Anyway, I hone on this, I don't know, a dozen laps or something like that. And then you go straight to the calf hide. And the calf hide that's plain, I'm taking a Jared hone and putting it behind the strop so that the stropping surface that I will strop upon is also this same 6.5 foot diameter shape. So I'm about to go to the strop, and it sounds great, and that's how you want it. Be careful with this razor, Mr. Ohio. Use only a pasted strop to keep it up, unless you're going to go switch to this system, okay?